Hi, I'm Sal Mercogliano, Associate Professor of History at Campbell University, a former merchant mariner, and an adjunct professor in maritime industry policy at the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. Welcome to What's Going On in the Suez? The rent is too damn high edition, and the canal is too damn small edition. Well, a lot of news going on regarding the Suez Canal. There's a lot going on with the Colonial Pipeline. I did a couple episodes regarding the Colonial Pipeline, and I'm probably going to do another one here because there's more news about it. But I had to get this story in because there were two stories that came up, and I was already feeling bad about being behind one. But now this new one has come up, and got to hit the airways with this. So let's get over here to the screen. Let's share the screen and talk about it. So, first one was from a couple of days ago. This is the rent's too damn high portion. Suez Canal chief says Southern. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. I want this one here. There we go. Sorry, jumping my stories here. Every given insurer says Suez Canal reduced claim is still too high. So, as we know, the Egyptians have come down in their request. They reduced their compensation claim down to 600 million to free the vessel and cover related losses, which are still exceptionally large, according to the UK P&I Club. So, even though the Egyptians have magnanimously come down from 916 million down to 600 million, the UK P&I Club, the insurer for the cargo on board Ever Given, has basically said no. This was from a broadcast done on Saturday by Osama Rabi, who's the head of the Suez Canal Authority. He came out and made this statement that this money is still needed to pay restitution for the grounding of the Ever Given, for lost wages and money. Even though the Suez Canal lost very little money, some vessels did divert around the Cape of Good Hope. There was loss of money. They made a lot of money by vessels sitting in anchorage in Port Said and Suez, husbanding, bunkering, you name it, using shore facilities. Even though they couldn't go ashore, you're still getting it. But again, we're still at this impasse where basically the Egyptians have come down to 600 million, but again, Ever Given, and more importantly, the UK P&I Club don't want to give in to this because, again, the UK P&I Club is also worried about whatever the finding is for liability issues will reduce their amount of money available for that if they got to pay the Egyptians. Also have to think that the container companies are not liking this idea of being extorted by Egypt because they're holding the vessel and will not let it go. Again, I don't expect the Panamanian Navy to come and save this vessel. It's a Panamanian registered vessel. It's a Taiwan company. Don't expect the Taiwanese Navy to come. Don't expect the Japanese owners to come get it. It's a really murky area. I do raise the question, but if this was a Chinese vessel, would the Egyptians be acting the same way? Had this been Costco Galaxy, the ship that was just in front of Ever Given, would they be acting the same way toward them, or an American vessel, or a British, or a French, or who knows, or a Russian? I don't know. But it raises that interesting question. And that is the rent is too damn high section. The canal is too damn small section comes from this one here, which I jumped the gun. I apologize. Suez Canal chief says southern stretch to be expanded. They're going to expand the southern end of the canal. This plan was unveiled by President Assisi. Said it'll take about 24 months to do this. What they're planning to do is in the 18-mile stretch of the waterway, and I should have pulled this up here. I don't know why I didn't, but we'll go ahead and load that up there while that loads. Give it a second to load. My computer's really slow today for some reason. Internet here. But what they're talking about is the stretch from Great Bitter Lake down to Suez. That's the area they're specifically talking about widening. So this expansion will basically widen the canal. What they're talking about right here, the 18-mile stretch of the waterway, will be increased by 130 feet eastwards. This is where the Ever Given had run aground, basically where it pushed in. It's going to push this 130 feet this way. They will basically move that canal 130 feet, giving it more room in the canal. The other thing they're going to do is dredge down from the current 66 feet down to 72 feet. Now, some people are asking, why not just put another lane in? Well, first off, another lane doesn't alleviate this issue of the Ever Given and the ultra large container ships are too damn big. What you need is wider. You need wider and deeper, and that's the smart move. The issue they're going to have here in doing this is twofold. They say 24 months. This side of the canal right here is actually concrete. It's concreted in, and they dredge this element of the canal, and it's shallower over here. What they're going to have to do is build a new section of the canal. They'll probably build it over here with the concrete where it's dry first, and then excavate out and pull it out. They will have to do that when the canal is either not closed, but when there's no traffic going through the canal. To do that, they're also going to have to take out a lot of spoil from here. There's a lot of dirt they're talking about to get it out. So you're talking about moving a lot of earth out of the way here and dirt. Dredging just down an extra 6 feet is a lot, but adding 130 feet of canal is extensive. I think they can do it in 2 years. Just to be clear, when they did this is the canal here, just to give you an idea. This is from the Suez Canal Authority. This is their section on canal characteristics. And if you look at how the canal has expanded from 2001 here to 2010, this is the big expansion that they did last time here. And this is where they went down to 11-meter depth right here. This is where they basically widened the canal, came across. You're talking about a much larger canal now that's being done. When they did the new Suez Canal, this is the information here on the new Suez Canal. This is what they're talking about. The new Suez Canal, if you look at the map, this is north. This is Port Said. This is the Great Bitter Lake here. What they did here was add a second lane in. And you see that second lane here. They widened part of this canal. They also dredged part of it too. They also dredged part of it. There's a little bit more of it right here. You can see. And believe it or not, they got that done in a year. They were able to get that done in a year. The thing that this canal has not done, and they talk about it right here, which I think is really interesting, is they talk about the objectives of this canal. So boost the hard currency earnings for the Egyptian national economy. One of the things that they were looking for right here, increase the average daily sailings from 97 ships by the year 2023 up from 49 ships at present. They are still at that level. They're a little bit higher, but not a lot higher. So they were hoping to increase their revenues from 5.3 billion up to 13.226 billion because of the increase. I mean, they were going to almost double the amount of ships going through, plus much larger ships can go through, hence higher tolls. That has not exactly happened. It cost $8 billion to build this expansion, and they funded this through their own people buying bonds. They were not able to go out on the market and get banks or international banks or international bonds to fund this. They had to do this internally in themselves. So I have a real big question about how they're going to fund this new canal expansion. I believe they could do it in 2 years. El Sisi will make that happen. He had the army digging part of this when they were going to come up short here. So he'll have them dig it. I guarantee you they'll be dug on time. It's the cost. Now, I think in terms of, is it the right thing to do? It is. It most assuredly is. If this canal is wider and deeper, Ever Given, if you go back to the video I did where I talk about specifically what happens with Ever Given getting close to the West Bank, the East Bank, then to the West Bank, and then ramming into the side here. If the canal is wider, deeper, even with the wind, even if she's got to turn a little cockeye, even if she's got to turn a little bit off center to handle the wind, she'll be better able to handle the canal vessels her size. The fear I have, and again, I go back to the fear about this, if you build the canal bigger, they will come. In other words, they'll build bigger ships. The bigger you build the canal, the bigger they're going to build the ships. Unless the Egyptians sit there and say, listen, this is the limit. This is the size limit. We're not going bigger. We're not building the canal so you can bring in bigger vessels and do this again, but we'll do it better. When Ever Given 2 gets stuck and she's not 1,300 meters, but she's 1,800 meters and carries 30,000 boxes or something like that, you don't want that happening because it'll be a much worse scenario than what they had here. So it's an interesting deal what's going on. I think part of the money from Ever Given, from the $600 million here, is maybe to kick off the expansion. It's a weird thing that they're going to use the vessel getting stuck to pay to increase the canal. I would envision that they would want to maybe charge a little more for the bigger ships. They do now, but even a surcharge to start getting money aside to start building the canal, I'm not sure how they're going to do it. But if the Egyptians are going to do it, they're going to do it. I guarantee you that. They did it with the expansion that opened in 2015. They will do this again. The problem is the next generation ships. If we build it bigger, they're going to keep coming bigger. And I think that's the big issue coming. All right. Well, welcome to this special edition here of what's going on in the Suez. Again, I couldn't resist on the titles. So hopefully I didn't offend you with my language. So be sure you Click subscribe, hit the bell, give it a thumbs up. Also, doing videos right now on the Colonial pipeline. Just an announcement came out that the Maritime Administration is looking at what vessels are available to haul oil if needed. The Department of Transportation is looking at a Jones Act waiver. Department of Transportation is also looking at what rail cars are available. So right now there is not a gas shortage. You do not need to run out and go fill every last container you have with gas. There's plenty of gas. What you're having is a distribution shortage. We've got 3 weeks worth of gasoline in tanks all up and down the East Coast. You do not need to fill up every last container of gas you have. There is not a reason to panic about this. And even if the Colonial pipeline stays shut down, it's only 45%. We will have half the gasoline being able to distribute. Plus, the Kinder Morgan pipeline can increase capacity. Rail cars can increase capacity. Trucks can increase capacity. Jones Act tankers can increase capacity, and if needed be, there's plenty of tankers on the open market that can be filled in. So don't panic about the gasoline. All right, Sal Mercagliano signing off. See you at the next episode and see what's going on next at the Suez Canal. Thanks.